Okay.
All right. All right. Hello, everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am absolutely beside myself with excitement today. I am chatting with guitar legend, one of the most important metal musicians in the history of metal, in my opinion. The indelible, the legendary Mr. Ross, the Boss Friedman. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm talking to a legendary musician. I've got a cold beer. Life couldn't get better right now, I don't think. So, um, well, first off, I wanted to talk to you about, and I know it's not brand new. It came out a couple of years ago, but this fantastic album right here, the most recent Ross the Boss album, Born of Fire. Congratulations on another amazing album. I mean, everything you touch is gold anyway, but that album, since it came out, it hasn't left my CD player much. It's just phenomenal. I mean, and you're so good at putting, I mean, one, you're an amazing musician, but you're so good at surrounding yourself with talent. And you've always been that way, it seems like, whether it's Manowar or Death Dealer or Ross the Boss, of course. You have such a gift at I think at surrounding yourself with just talented musicians.
You're only as strong as your weakest link, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. So kind of tell me, I was curious about kind of how and I know that the Ross the Boss has been around for quite a few years now. You started the band in around 2006, I believe, correct?
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? What kind of was the impetus of starting that band?
Well, up until then, up until what really started it in Europe for me again was around 2005. I did the Earthshaker with Manowar.
Yeah.
It was like everybody coming back, and I really didn't have much, contact with Europe. I did, but not the way I have it now. So I did the Earthshaker Fest, and did a couple of songs with them, and then the demand started coming in. Ross, you got to play all old Manowar songs. They're not doing it. It's the best era of the band. You have to play. You have to do it. Have to have them getting all these offers to play. And I said, well, I didn't have a band, and my friend Oliver, who's the promoter of the Keep It True Fest in Germany, said, well, I got these guys. They're a Manowar cover band, actually. So,
Oh, wow.
And they call it Men of War or something like that. And he sent me the tape of them, and I thought they're pretty spot on, And so I called them up. I said, how about doing it? And they go, oh, great. They're flipping out. And I flew over. That's before I did the Keep It True Fest for the first time. And I hired them,
Nice.
Pretty much I hired them, the three of them. And so I had me a band and started doing, I did Keep It True. And then I recorded a demo. And then Oliver sent it to AFM Records. And then by the time I had played my next festival, I walked out, got out of the car and goes, oh, by the way, you have a record deal, and with AFM, which is a major in Europe. And so I signed with AFM, and we did the first record, New Metal Leader.
Great album.
And we took it from there.
Nice.
Sorry. And since then I have a different lineup. We did two records with the German lineup, and we did New Metal Leader and Hailstorm with the new lineup and with the old lineup, and then I switched for By Blood Sworn and Born of Fire.
Nice. Yeah, and of course you now have Mike Leopold from Symphony
Right.
X playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very. And it's just such a perfect album. It's just got that passion and that anger and
Yep.
just pure metal. It's so fun to listen to.
Well, we worked really hard on that record to have it out by March 2020, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we were doing a U.S. tour, and was going great. US tour was great. We played our last show in Philadelphia for Live Nation. Last show, RTB band. We're gonna have a couple of weeks. We're going to Europe with. We have a headline tour with Burning Witches opening, with all sorts of great stuff, great hype and everything. The record comes out. Guess what happens?
COVID. Yeah.
Guess what happened?
Yeah, the world just shuts down.
That's it. That's it. I mean, the record was basically my record. That record was lost.
Yeah.
In as much work as we did on that thing, it was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking, but it was heartbreaking for everybody. So I mean, I wasn't the only one. I mean, Testament put out a record that they're using to this day. They just added a track to it, and so the world's canceled for 2 years.
Yeah, that was rough. That was. Do you have? Are you looking at touring with the album? With the Born of Fire?
We've been
okay.
touring. Last April we did a Spanish tour. I had a whole German thing, like a bunch of shows, and then I wind up because of the vaccines and one of the Swedish bands, openers didn't vaccine. It was just still too much confusion. So we postponed the first leg and we did the second leg. So we're booking the first leg for next year and everything's getting back to normal. We played festivals. I did like 14 Spanish shows or something like that. And we played Malta. We played a whole bunch of stuff, and then and then we led us to the summer, and we did a bunch of festivals.
Cool, very cool. Yeah. I've seen a little bit of footage here and there, and I know when I guess it was right before the pandemic. That 2019, I think it was in 2019 or 2018, you guys played Wacken, I believe, right?
17.
Okay, well, I have no sense of time. I tell you.
Who does?
Yeah. And I know you also did a TV thing for Wacken.
Yes, we did a mini concert.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Which came out really good.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that was great. That was phenomenal. Especially when, with everything kind of shut down, or just having that out there was cool to see. They
were great. They gave us a budget, and it was awesome.
So. Nice, very cool. I was gonna say you mentioned the original lineup of Ross the Boss being that Manowar cover band. That's got to be, kind of a really interesting. I don't know if it's the right terminology, but I guess it's kind of that legacy, kind of having that legacy. It's got to be kind of strange to know, like, there's a band out there that is a cover band of what I used to do. Like that. I mean, that's really interesting.
And to be honest with you, there's a lot more bands than you think there are. I mean,
right.
I mean, in every city there's a Manowar type band. I mean, and it's due to the fact that first lineup of Manowar was the best.
Yeah.
Those first records were iconic and never to be beaten again. No band will ever put 6 records out like that ever again.
No.
6 years.
Yeah. You guys worked your asses off. It's a true testament to the kind of talent that you had at that, at that time in the band. It's I would just imagine as a musician, it's got to be kind of cool and kind of weird, but at the same time really cool to think that there are cover bands out there playing my music, and dressing up like I used to, and it's got to just be a bizarre kind of but very cool. They didn't look like
they just played the songs.
Nice. I mean, that's one thing, for me especially, that was at that time in the early 80s, I was a young teenager, and I think, like, bands like Manowar and Iron Maiden and Dio and Jagpanzer and people like that, it was, I was always looking for what's the voice for me. My parents had Led Zeppelin and those types of bands. What's the voice for my generation? And it was definitely, bands like Manowar. I remember the first time I saw a Manowar video at that time, and it just blew my mind. And I was way into Conan and everything. I'm like, this is what I've been looking for. It was.
We were the living embodiment of that movie.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, and I think it's interesting too, the fact that while you were doing that, you were also you had your punk band, the Dictators, kind of, back and forth. That's an interesting dichotomy, I guess. That must have been an interesting time.
That's right. We never broke up, and as a matter of fact, we're together now with a new lineup.
Yeah,
and on a new record.
Cool.
And we announced our first shows in Canada, November 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Very cool. I did not know that. That's great news. Very
yeah.
Cool. I mean, I know there's been like little pockets of time that, when you weren't doing the Dictators, but I mean,
never stopped.
Yeah. Like 40 years, right? 50 years almost.
1975.
Wow.
So first Dictators Go Crazy. The new lineup is actually great. It's our original guitar player, Scott Kempner, couldn't continue because he has dementia.
Oh, no.
And so we needed a new guitar player, and we went out and got Keith Roth, who's a serious radio DJ, and Frankenstein 3000. He's a great guitar player, great singer. And we have a new drummer. He is Albert Bouchard.
Awesome.
The original Blue Oyster Cult drummer. And he's just an incredible talent. And so we have me, Andy Chernoff, Keith Roth, and Albert Bouchard, the new Dictators.
That is fantastic. That sounds amazing. That sounds great. And I know, and you have a connection with Albert because you played with the Brain Surgeons back about 20 years ago or so.
Yeah, the Brain Surgeons was great. I mean, that record was one of my favorite records that I did. I mean, I wrote most of the songs on that record, and I'm so proud of that record. I mean, it should have gotten so much more coverage. I think due to the fact that Albert's wife at the time was the lead singer, and she was, Eddie Trunk told me that if you had a great lead singer on that record, boy, your record would have been, I said, I know that, like I joined the band for Albert. I didn't join it for Deborah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I interviewed him a while back, and I think, he has some regrets on, we won't go into that, but I think, he has some regrets on, the fact that she was the singer of that band and what it could have been. Yeah. What it could have been.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. I mean, we had a really great singer in the band. The band would have been probably still around touring like golden. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about, speaking of other bands, so Death Dealer, and essentially Ross the Boss, the band Ross the Boss, 3/4 of that band is Death Dealer with Sean and Stu, and another phenomenal band. And you guys put out, this album not too long ago, I guess, 2020, I think, right?
Yeah, we got stuff out.
Yeah, just amazing stuff.
We recorded two albums or 3 albums during the scamdemic.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a ton of stuff in the can, and we put out an EP. I can't even keep up on it with Stu, with Sean.
Yeah, he pumps out a lot of music, that guy. How did you originally get involved with Sean?
Sean called me out of the blue.
Oh, wow.
Me, I want to form a band with you, Rhino. I have a name for it, blah, 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 blah. He just sold me on it. I said, I have to hear the music first before I agree. Before I'm going to join your band. So this guy calls me up. This Australian guy, lovely guy, calls me up with this. Oh, he might know with the Aussie accent, and I'm like, unbelievable. This guy, like, such a charmer. Stu Marshall, great guitar player, my partner in that band, and he also co-wrote. He wrote "Made in the Shadows" on the Ross the Boss record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so he goes, here he sent me the music. I go, wow, this is fantastic. Wow. Songs like War Master and so many great stuff. So much great stuff on that first Death Dealer record. And so I said, I'm in.
Nice.
So all I got here is great songs, and that's the rest will take care of itself.
Right.
So that's the story for Death Dealer. So, cool. But unfortunately, Death Dealer can't play because as much as because Stu is in Australia, Sydney. I'm in New York. Mike is in Florida now. Steve is in L.A. Sean is in San Diego. In order to to get those dates, paying dates, we have to get paying dates.
Right.
But that actually.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys will maybe do some festivals in the future. Yeah.
We're trying to, but I mean, the band that's really getting it done is the RTB band.
Yeah.
I mean, we destroyed Sweden Rock, we destroyed Black Silesia, and in Poland we just utterly destroyed Barcelona Fest. When Manowar canceled, they hired me. It was just unbelievable. We went on at 1:30 in the morning. We had 80,000 people there.
Wow.
And not one person left. It was unbelievable.
That's
unbelievable. Great. And we played Bulgaria, a lot of great festivals. So everything is great. Now Dictators are starting to play, and I've got 2 genres going again.
Yeah, that's great. That's so cool. Yeah, you're a busy guy. That's amazing. Is there do you have anything in the works right now for Ross the Boss, a new album? Are you guys working on new material at all?
I'm working on a new record. I'm working with some co-writers, and we'll see what happens.
Nice.
It's going to be very cool. I'm doing a whole new record after I did a whole record with Born of Fire, and it just was, I still have like, what did I do? I worked so fucking hard on that record to have it out in time to make the deadline. I made every single deadline. This has to be in. Parts have to be in by December. The parts that it is, blah, 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 everything has to be in already. And then, boom.
Yeah.
It was like that for a lot of people. A lot of art, and it took it right on its chin.
Yeah.
And it was very saddening and maddening at the same time.
Yeah, and especially it's such a phenomenal album, and I don't think it gets the press that it deserves.
I mean, I've had a lot of luck, but at the same time, I've had a lot of not luck with putting it with record labels. So, but the good thing about it, AFM saw us at Sweden Rock, and they flipped the fuck out, bro.
Nice.
Oh, they couldn't. They called me. They called my manager. They go, I can't believe it. I said, well, how about a little more support next time? Or so see what we're gonna do.
Cool.
So that's good.
Yeah,
good.
That's good news. Definitely. Yeah. So I was curious, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to go back in time, maybe a ways back in time. I was curious how you originally got started in music. Did you come from a musical family? Like, what got you into guitar? What got you playing?
All right, that's a good question. I mean, I was born in the Bronx, okay, and my family had musical people in it. My grandmother sung opera, played piano. My father's uncle Louis studied at La Scala in Italy for opera as well. So my father was completely untalented in music, and my mother had no real musical talent, but there was musical talent in the family. They got me piano lessons, and when I was very young, like 6 years old, and I got this teacher that I just really madly loved this guy, and my skill got more and more. I was playing double clef, both clef, and everything was really clicking. And I had this famous Valerie. Her name is Valerie Capers. She's a blind music teacher, music theory teacher, and she was teaching me theory. And I took a musical aptitude test, and she told my mother and my parents that my musical aptitude was off the charts.
Wow.
It was off the charts. That's what she said. So my mother goes, you're playing piano? I go, yeah, all right, yeah. And then I'm playing piano, doing great, double reading, double clef, blah, 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 blah. And what happens is my music teacher quits. My music teacher decides he's going to move or go somewhere else. So I'm heartbroken. They get me this old woman, and I had absolutely no chemistry with. And so after a while, I just said, oh, fuck it, And so that was it for piano. So the next I found myself in, my bad. But next I found myself in junior high school, and they needed some people for the orchestra. They actually had orchestras in those days in public schools. There was actually money for that.
All right.
And sadly, it's not. So what do they need? They need a violin. I never played violin. I never played violin. So I get me a violin. I said, can I try violin? All right. So I go, all right. So, and I started to teach myself, and, blah, 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 blah. This guy, Mr. Neroff, he was teaching me, blah, blah, blah. And I was last violin because I already knew how to read music. I was last violin in the orchestra. And in a matter of weeks, I was first violin.
Wow.
First violin. So I made lightning advances on the violin in like a matter of weeks.
Wow. That's cool.
So that was fantastic. And so, but then I found myself with this violin, excuse me, and it's the 60s. And the Beatles, the English invasion already happened. It was 67, around there. I'm Jewish, so I got my bar mitzvah and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I'm watching these guys in these bands, and it's amazing. There's so much excitement. And then, you had Jimi Hendrix, Cream, and all this stuff just happening, and blues and all this stuff. And then I'm going, wait a minute, I'm playing violin. I go, dude, I took a look at myself, and I said, Ross, you look like a fucking nerd. Dude, you are a Jewish kid from the Bronx with glasses on. Glasses, you should have seen me. Short hair, glasses. Oh man. I was like, I look at myself, I said, I gotta make some changes. So, I started growing my hair, and I couldn't do anything about the glasses because we didn't have contact lenses yet. And I said, Grandma, my grandmother, said, Grandma, I want to play guitar. This violin shit ain't, all girls are flipping out over these guys, and I said, I think that's what I want, and so my grandmother, we said, let's get a guitar. So we walked down Gun Hill Road to Palumbo's Music, and she buys me an acoustic guitar to start. And I start, and what else? What happens? I'm like going crazy. I'm getting going on, blah, blah, blah. I'm teaching myself. Okay, then I get my first little electric guitar. It's kind of a Vox kind of a thing. And my father said, well, it's time for some lessons. Why don't you take some lessons? Okay. So I went to this place, the guitar teacher, and I started playing. And within like 3 weeks, I was better than the guitar teacher.
Wow.
Seriously.
Nice.
Seriously, any concept on guitar, I took in any kind of guitar player. I learned the stuff. I learned the style. I was doing that. My mind was like a sieve. It was just like absorbing everything that had to do with guitar. And one day, yeah. And then my best friend in school, Jimmy Sugarman, who's just passed away. His brother had a really great Gibson guitar, a white Gibson SG, a 63 white Gibson SG. Oh, and he goes, you want to buy it? I'm selling it. I go, really? Okay. That and the Super Reverb, and I bought it for $400. $400. That guitar.
Nice.
You have any idea what that guitar is worth right now?
Oh yeah, thousands.
Hasn't left my side.
Oh,
and
cool.
So I buy it, but my father says, I'm not giving you the money for it. You gotta take out a loan and pay it back.
Oh.
So you learn the value of money, okay, all right. Nothing was given to me in life. My parents, nothing was given to me, and I bought the guitar, started playing over the summer, and I just, learning Eric Clapton and learning Jimi Hendrix stuff and Santana and Paul Butterfield Blues Band and B.B. King, and I became a lifelong fan of B.B. King. Just learning all the riffs, learning everything, like getting all the stuff together, learning, Scotty Moore, just anyone that I could listen to, I was learning and how to play it. So it was like festering in my mind. And then I just kept playing and playing and playing. And then got me to high school, and I joined my first band. It was called Total Crud.
Total Crud?
Yeah, Total Crud.
That's great.
Yeah, and then after high school, they moved up to Newport College, which is a state school, but it was known as a party school. Party school, and the two biggest party schools at that time was UCLA in California and Newport College, Newport State University, and everyone was partying, going crazy there. It was just like, like that movie with John Belushi,
Animal House. Yeah,
and that was it. That's what it was like.
Nice.
Every night, every single night, anywhere, and so we were playing local party, we were playing frats and going all over, and then I was playing, and this one guy I met, this big tall guy with long hair, really long hair. His name was Andy, and he comes up to me and goes, "You're really great, but you should start a band with me." And I go, "I should start a band with you? What do you?" He goes, "Well, I don't know. I guess I'll play bass. I guess all right." So and then that was the beginning of the Dictators.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and but Andy had a connection. Andy was a rock writer, and he had his own team. He had his own fanzine called the Teenage Wasteland Gazette, and he would write with Richard Meltzer, and this guy Richard Meltzer, who was a writer for Kerrang and not Kerrang, Crawdaddy and Rolling Stone, and he was also a lyric writer, and he wrote for this band called Soft White Underbelly.
Yes,
who became the Blue Oyster Cult. Right. So Richard was writing lyrics to Blue Oyster Cult, and so was Sandy Pearlman. Sandy Pearlman was their manager, and the guy that gave the Blue Oyster Cult that image.
Yeah.
So Richard Meltzer. So I got us a house in Kerhonkson, up in the middle of a cornfield, so we wouldn't insult anyone with our music. Back then, I needed to have a privacy, and so we got Scott to join the band, and it was me, Andy, Scott. And we got this drummer from Poughkeepsie, whose girlfriend hated the band, fucking hated us, and would sit in the driveway while we practiced. Okay. And yeah, she was just a delightful piece of shit. and so we wrote a couple of songs, blah 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 blah. Needless to say, we called Richard Meltzer, told Sandy about us, and so Sandy and Richard took a drive up from Long Island to see the Dictators.
Nice.
And we played for them. I don't think we even had a singer. There was no Manitoba at the time. It was, he had yet to join. A long ways off to him joining the band. So he really liked us. He loved me. And he goes, "Well, yeah, then I got Buck Dharma, and now I got you." Nice. And so he goes, "Don't sign with MCA." And when he said that, it was like, using that expression was like, "Don't sign with MCA." I looked at Andy and I said, "We just hit pay dirt." We just hit pay dirt. Yeah. Here we are, but nobody's in the middle of a freaking cornfield. And so he brought us down to New York, got us a demo budget from CBS, and did a demo, and we got signed to CBS.
Nice. Wow. It's like a fairy tale story. It's so cool.
It was like 19. We hadn't played a gig yet. So
wow.
And then we got our first drummer, I think, and then we made another demo, and we did the record. We found this kid, Stu Boy, and we made a record. Yeah. And to this day, it's one of the most beloved punk records, American punk records in history.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would imagine, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine you're just because of your talent as a guitar player, I would imagine you were kind of maybe looking for something else, in terms of, faster playing or more melodic.
For the Dictators being the Dictators, and the second record was very, very much more advanced than the first one, and which I did double solos, like harmony solos with myself, and there was a lot of different advances, and then I was playing very well, and then we did the third record, so we did three studio records with the Dictators, and we decided, not so much commercial success, we decided to take a hiatus after Blood Brothers, which was done live in the studio, no overdubs for me.
Oh, cool. Wow.
live in the studio. If you listen to that,
Yeah.
totally. And so I was sitting around, and Sandy was in Paris, and he finds this band. This band found him. This band called Shakin' Street, and Shakin' Street had a really beautiful lead singer, Fabienne Shine, and Fabienne was like, this Sandy obviously was like fell for her. I mean, she was going out with Jimmy Page, and so and then Sandy, we need a guitar player. Well, Army sold his guitar for heroin.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Sandy goes, well, I got the guy for you. Next minute, he calls me up. He goes, they want you in Paris. And I go, who? Who wants me in Paris, Sandy? This band I discovered, Shakin' Street. So next morning, I'm at JFK, flew to Paris. They picked me up. I'm like, wow. I'm like, take me to the university. They have a rehearsal room there, and I said, let's play this one. Okay, let's play this one. I played guitar for 5 minutes, and they asked me to join the band.
Wow. That's cool.
So we joined the band, and then we went to San Francisco to finish the record at the Automat, and then we started playing, and we did like 25 shows in France. I didn't even know there were 25 places to play in France. And then played all over. And then I found myself opening up for Black Sabbath in the UK.
Wow.
Right? Heaven and Hell, Ronnie Dio's first tour. Ronnie Dio's first tour with Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. I'm on stage doing a sound check. And Ronnie's on the side there. I finished the sound check. And he comes up to me. He goes, Ross, I really love the way you play guitar. And he's the sweetest, the most beautiful person you've ever want to meet in a human being. I mean, he's wonderful. He goes, I know New York Band, I know Shakin' Street, I know CBGBs, I know your history, but you're really a great guitar player. I said, thank you, Ronnie. And he goes, there's a guy you should meet on my crew. And his name is Joey. He said, he's hanging with Doc. Doc was the fireworks guy and technician and amps, and he's a genius guy. So he was hanging with him and came over with him, and you should meet him. He's really great. He plays bass like I've never heard. So I put my guitar down. The doors were in an hour, so I just sought Joey out, and I said, Ronnie said I should meet you, and blah, blah, blah. And we struck up a friendship and started talking about music, and he go, you want to go jam? You go, yeah, where are we going to jam? Black Sabbath's dressing room, of course. So I had my guitar. Joey takes Geezer's spare bass, and we're playing and on their amps. I can never, we did this everywhere. Nottingham, Birmingham, Manchester, Apollo, all these places. And one time we're playing, and Black Sabbath's doing a sound check, right? They're blasting away, okay, and we're blasting away upstairs, and all of a sudden they stop, and we're blasting away. It was like, and Geezer and Tony, what the fucking hell? They look up, and Ronnie goes, it's Ross and Joey, and they go, oh, fuck it, let them go. We had a lot of shit from there, yeah. Fuck it, I never forget the little fucking hell, in their Birmingham accent,
Right.
So that's how it started. That's how Manowar started. We went back. We decided I would leave Shakin' Street. I had my substitute. I had my replacement. And I played my last show in Hawaii, Aloha Stadium, and flew back to my house in Mount Vernon, New York. Started writing songs, and Joey was living with us, and started writing Manowar songs, and I had a great friend that was the head of A&R at EMI in New York City. Of course, I got a demo budget, and then we made this demo budget, and guess what happens? They signed us.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Hey, guys. It's happening. But, no, you can't hit. Fucking hell. Those are my players.
Oh, okay.
Nats. You You can have it if you want. All right, so then that was the deal. I got my record deal with EMI, and then we made Battle Hymns.
Nice, nice.
That's this is.
I love the fact that, and I didn't know that. I love the fact that Manowar was basically born out of Black Sabbath's dressing room.
Yeah,
on tour. That's so cool. That's amazing. That's
born because Ron told me to go meet Joey.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's what it was. If I had never done that, if I would never done that, if I didn't have I didn't have Bob Curry at EMI, Manowar would have never existed. Never existed.
Wow. Do you remember I was curious about the kind of the image of Manowar. Do you remember, was there a point when somebody said, we should dress up like barbarians? Like, do you remember like something like, was there, oh, it was you? Nice.
Well,
Very
because
cool.
we knew that we thought that the denim and leather look of Judas Priest and Iron Maiden was cool and Saxon, the new wave of British metal. I liked it. I thought it was a strong image, but I said, we're not going to get noticed if we look the same.
Yeah.
We're just not going to get noticed. No one's going to give a shit. So he says, what's wilder than leather and studs? Fur, animal skins. I mean,
yeah.
What else is there? So we put that look together, and the movie Conan came out, and that really influenced me a lot, and with the Wagner and all this other stuff, and so I was putting the foundation of Manowar in my mind together. So
cool, very cool. I wanted to ask you about. I was curious about your. I know you've been a producer as well over the years and produced quite a bit of stuff. But I read, and I didn't know this, and I found this fascinating. I guess you produced, if this is true, you produced early Anthrax, correct? You did some production for them, right?
Yeah, I got Anthrax signed to Megaforce.
Oh wow, I did. That's cool.
Yeah, so Anthrax opened up a show with us with early Manowar show, and then I became friends with Scott. And they're haranguing. They were haranguing Zazula, Johnny Z to sign them. And Johnny Z said, "I'm not signing you. I don't hear any songs yet." So John Z goes, "Why don't you go get Ross? Go look at get Ross, and he'll produce something for you. See what happens." So Scott calls me. We let's go into the studio. I produced Howling Furies and Soldiers of Metal. Soldiers of Metal did it. Got signed, and that was that. Anthrax off to the races.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. That's really cool. I love that. Well, Ross, this has been an absolute pleasure and an honor, really, chatting with you today.
I didn't talk too much, did I?
No, this was great. Well, this is about you. It's not about me. So you are awesome. This is amazing. So for everybody watching, if you look in the description below, you'll see links to Ross the Boss. So definitely check that out. If you don't own this album, you need to go get it right now, because it kicks ass and it will kick your ass and you will love it. So
hold on a second. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm sorry about the phone call, but
oh no.
Appreciate it. But after Manowar, there's a ton of stuff. So
yeah,
I appreciate everybody's support.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, my friend.
Okay.
Take care.